Hello everyone, and welcome to my very first Minecraft tutorial. Since Minecraft 11.1, we've been able to use rockets to propel ourselves while we're flying around with our elytras on. Now, to make rockets, we need gunpowder and paper. Now, there's plenty of farms around for paper, but not so many for gunpowder. And since rockets are now so popular, we need a lot of gunpowder. Now, there are a few ways to get gunpowder. One is through these guys, creepers. You can also get them from ghasts and witches and find them in chests. But today we're going to look at how we can farm creepers to get gunpowder. And to do that, we're going to use a friend. This guy right here, a cat. Hey bud. Okay, so before we go into the farm, so we've got a whole bunch of stuff to show you down here. Before we're going to show you how this farm works, I'm going to talk about a few of the game mechanics that allow this farm to work. Now I've looked around and I haven't seen anyone doing a farm just quite like this. So this may be a new design, but it might not be. It might be that I haven't found it. So if you've seen this design before, then yeah, stick a comment in the comments, and I'll be happy to take a look at it for sure. Anyway, so let's talk about mob spawning to start with. So generally speaking, mobs will spawn when the light level is 7 or under. So what you normally do is you create a room, fill in the walls, and so it's dark enough for a mob to spawn. And one thing that's important for this farm to note is that if you put a carpet down, that can block a mob from spawning on that particular block. So we're going to why that's important a bit later. If you want to check what your light level is, if you press F3 and then over on the left hand side, bit past halfway down, you see it says light 15, and that's what the light level is currently. If I go into this little room, you'll see my light level goes down to 11. So that's the number that needs to be 7 or less for a mob to spawn. Okay, so let's talk about mobs. So here's a bunch of mobs. Now, they all have different heights. So if you look at so easy ones to start with. So Enderman is 3 blocks high. Witches, skeletons and zombies are all 2 blocks high. Now, a creeper is actually 1.7 blocks high. And that was a change that came in Minecraft 1.9. So that's a difference that we can exploit from these other mobs in our farm, which we'll look at in a bit. The other thing to take note of is that a spider is actually 1 block high. It needs 2 block height to spawn, but the top block can be a transparent block. So that's something we need to take into account, because what we're going to do is we're going to put trapdoors on the ceiling, so only mobs that are less than the height between the floor and the trapdoor will spawn. So that's creepers and spiders. But a spider needs a 3x3 area to spawn on. So we can block a spider spawning by just putting down 1 carpet within that 3x3. Now the spider can't now spawn in this area. So these are the game rules that these are the game mechanics that we're going to exploit in our farm. So just to note here as well, this creeper, so a creeper can fit in a 2 block high space where the ceiling's got a trapdoor and standing on a carpet. So if you press F3 and B, you can see the mob's hitbox, and you can see that it fits inside even though it's on top of a carpet. So that's important for later on, which we'll come on to. So let's get rid of the mob, get rid of that. Right, now, where do the cats come in? Let's have a look. So here's a cat. I've put him on this blue block in the centre of this big square. Now a creeper is scared of cats. So if a creeper is too close to a cat, it will run away. And what it will do is it wants to get at least 6 blocks away from the cat. So you can see here that I've created this square with marked out 6 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if the creeper is anywhere inside this white square, it will try and run away from the cat. But if it gets to the green and onwards, it won't react at all. So you can see that if I put a creeper down here, he runs off. And then when he gets past the green, he just stops. Now if I was to put a creeper on the green block, doesn't do anything, it just stays where he is. And we'll stick one more over here, just right in this white corner. He runs away. So we can use that rule as well to exploit our farm. So let's move on. So here we have exactly the same square that I've created over here, just here, but all I've done here is just raise these walls up. And what I've done is I've given the creepers a particular exit. So if I was to spawn a creeper in here, it sees the cat and it runs outside the farm. Put one in here, maybe over here somewhere, sees the cat, runs out the farm. So using these rules, we can control what mobs spawn inside our room using the height and the carpet, so we talked about over there, and we control where they run by only allowing it certain exits. So here's our same room again, exactly the same size. This is 13 by 13, and I've just coloured the floor in to make it easy to see. But if you were to put carpets in this formation, that would mean there are no 3 by 3 areas in this room at all. So that means that if this was dark enough, if we put a roof on it, no spiders could spawn in this area. Now in the middle, we've got a cat, as before. I've put the cat on a carpet, so creepers won't spawn in this block with the cat. And also, I've put these trapdoors around the cat. Now that is to keep the cat in place, because what can happen is, when a creeper spawns, it runs around, gets scared, and it's possible for the creeper to bump the cat. And over time, lots of small bumps mean the cat will move out of the centre of the room. So we want to keep the cat in place. So if this is our actual room, what we would do is we'd put a ceiling on top, and you put trapdoors across the whole ceiling. Now you fill that in for the whole room. That would mean that only creepers could spawn in this height, and the carpet stopped the spiders spawning. So this means this farm will be a creeper only farm, which is exactly what you want. Now one thing to note in here, I've got carpets in the very corners. Now, when I was testing this, I noticed that some creepers got stuck on the corners. They kind of run into the corner and they stay there. So what you can actually do is, because we're blocking spawns there anyway, what you can do is just take out those corner carpets and just fill them in with blocks. Do that for all of your corners. Just like that. So that doesn't reduce the spawning rates because we're just exchanging blocks for carpets. But what it does mean is that creepers haven't got anywhere to hide or get confused, even though that isn't somewhere they should really hang around. Now, so let's imagine we filled this room, filled the ceiling in for this room. That means creepers would spawn and they would run out of these four exits we've given them. So now the next question is, how do we kill them and get their drops? So one way to do it is this. So here, imagine this is like a cross section coming out of this exit. So this area here is inside the square, that's inside our room, and then this green represents the green wall just here. And so this green square here, which is the first safe square for a creeper, is where this trapdoor is. Now the interesting thing about trapdoors are that if you put two trapdoors like this that are open, when a mob sees that, it sees it as a full block, so it thinks it can run across it and get to the other side. And we've put a carpet here to stop spawns on the outside. But, of course, what it will do is it will run across here, thinks it's a full block, and then it will fall down into this hole. Now what you can do here is, to kill the creeper, you can either just make this a big drop, and so if you make it like 25 blocks high, the creeper will fall down there, fall to its death, and get killed by full damage. The other way to do it is to drop them onto a magma block, and the magma block will damage the creeper until they die. The drops would land on top of the magma block, and then you can pick it up. Now the reason you'd want to do that is possibly what you can do is that will allow you to build the farm lower down in the world, because the lower you build it, the higher your mob spawning rate is. Or if you just want to have a bit more fun with them, to be honest. So if you want to collect drops from the top of a magma block, you actually have to do a little bit of jiggery pokery. So here, this is how you do it. So here I've got a hopper pointing into a chest, and on top of that I'll just put this rail, and on top of that I've put this minecart hopper. Now what you want to do is you want to put this minecart hopper inside the magma block, and this is how you do it. You pop a piston above with the magma block, and if you power the piston it will push the magma block. Ugh. That's a noob mistake, isn't it? Right, let's get a new button. 1 second. Button. Pop that up there. Click that. Oh no, another new mistake. Break the rail first. Press the button, and that pushes the magma block into the minecart. So now you can get rid of all of this. And then when the creepers fall down out of your hole, they fall down onto the magma block. Magma block kills them. Their drops are left on top, which then get sucked into the minecart, sucked into the hopper, and then they end up in your chest. And that's how we're going to collect mob drops in our farm, which we'll show you in a second. Now what you can do here is, you could just have two magma blocks next to each other, because if you look at our drop, it's too wide. So you could have two next to each other, but if you want to save on resources, and also maybe take advantage of entity cramming as well to kill the mobs even quicker. You can reduce a two wide drop into a single wide drop if you just have a little bit of water here with a water flow that pushes them this way. So if they fall down here and land in here, the water pushes them, they land in here. So yeah, just have a sign over here, 2 blocks, so you have this little structure that pokes out, water source inside that flows this way, and that will push them down here. And that's what we're going to do in this farm. And then if you want to see them suffer, have some glass on the front, and then that's how that will work. So that's that part. Now this is the actual farm itself. So I'm in spectator mode, so I'm going to just zoom in here. So what we've got here is, let me go inside first, and you'll see that it's pretty dark. You can see it's a little bit of light here. That's because the light is coming up from the glass here, but I've checked this light and all the light levels are below 7. So you can see it's dark inside. We've got trapdoors on the whole ceiling. We've filled in our corners with these blocks so the creepers don't get confused, and we've got our carpets in place. So what will happen is a creeper will spawn here. It sees the cat, runs it out of our exit we've given it, and it's going to think it can run across these trapdoors, but it can't. It will then fall down into either the water or the magma block. The magma block will kill it, and its drops will land in the chest. So why don't we have a look? So I've got a second account over there. So if I come into the room here and turn on mob spawns, so game rule do mob spawning true. So now because my second account is far enough away, it will make the mob spawn. So now you can see how these creepers react inside the farm. You see they run around. Mostly they go straight out, but you do get a couple that get a bit confused sometimes. But then they soon run out. Now, the advantages of this farm. So there's a couple of farms that I have seen for creepers. One of them is when you have lots of platforms and you have water that dispenses out of the middle, and then water flows out and pushes them out. Downside of that farm is it can be quite laggy because there's lots of water updates. The other thing is it's not limited to just creepers. You also get spiders in that farm as well. So you could end up getting less gunpowder. The other farm I've seen is quite resource intensive, so you need lots of sticky pistons, stuff like that. So this is the advantage of this farm is that it's super simple. There's no redstone involved. We're just using the AI and the game mechanics to do it, and it's lag free. So there's no redstone, nothing updating. We're just using the AI to do it. So you see pretty much all the creepers end up running out of the room, which is pretty cool. So if we come out here now, let's talk about rates. So if we just have one level like this with one cat in my testing, I ran it for 15 minutes and I got 551 in 15 minutes. So that's quite a lot. So if you multiply that up for an hour, that's 2,200 roughly per hour, which is not bad just for one cat and some blocks, no redstone required, which is pretty cool. Now I've actually done a test with more levels. So let's look at what a farm with more levels would look like. Okay, and as if by magic, here is the same farm, but what I've done here is I've duplicated up the floors. So instead of one floor, we now have 5 floors. So this is built exactly the same as before, but what I've done is I've stacked the rooms on top of each other, and so the floor of one room is the ceiling of another. So let's have a quick look inside. So here we have the same room we've just seen, but if we were to go up, you can see this floor, this ceiling where the trapdoors are on, now becomes the floor of the next one. And so you can see creepers spawning on each floor, and in each floor they get scared of the cat and run away. So they do tend to get stuck now and again, but eventually they do run outside. So this farm is maybe not the most efficient, but the advantages are that obviously, like I said before, it's less laggy and also it uses less resources. The trickiest thing is to get the cats in the first place, probably. But once you've got a couple, you can breed them up to get more. So that's the farm, and if we could look down here, we can see them suffering. And so they just jump around on the magma blocks until they die. Now in terms of rates, if you wanted to do this farm with 5 floors instead of 1, the rates go up. So we get about 5,500 gunpowder per hour, which is not too shabby for a simple farm with no redstone, just a few cats and some blocks. So yeah, so here we go. So that's the tutorial. Hopefully there's enough information here for you to build this in your own world. If you thought this was useful, then please hit the like button, leave a comment below. Always trying to improve. If you know a way of optimizing this farm a bit more, making it a bit better, then yeah, leave a comment. Until next time, thanks very much. This is Logical Geek Boys signing out.